Hello, we are live. Welcome to the Bradley J. Show, and we're going to talk about crime. Emily Sweeney has become one of the Boston Globe's crime-oriented reporters, and another example of that is the relatively new feature series Cold Case Files. And she's here to tell us about that and catch us up and let us know what she's working on. So it's crime time, Emily. Tell us about, thanks for being with us, and tell us about Cold Case Files.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Bradley. I really appreciate it. The Cold Case Files is a new series and newsletter that the Globe launched just this past fall. So it's only been up and running a few months, and it was kind of a year in the making. Every month I write about a different cold case and just try to do a deep dive and look at especially some cases that may not have gotten a lot of media attention at the time, cases that could use the help of the public to maybe help solve them. And yeah, so since we've launched, it's been I've gotten really good feedback, and just encouraging people to sign up for the newsletter, because the more people are aware of these cases, the better chances that they'll get solved.
So, how cold? Where's the cutoff? I mean, there is such a thing as too cold, right?
Yeah, so I mean, the term cold case, I mean, it's kind of colloquial term. If you ask investigators, they'll always say that, every investigation is always open. They're always looking for leads. I've been trying to focus on, cases that aren't, too old. Probably the oldest case I think I've covered so far goes back to 1973. And that was a body of a black man was found burned in the town of Westford, and he's never been identified. And I was kind of shocked when I read about this case, and a lot of people just weren't aware of it. Even people who live in Westford, hadn't heard about it. And this is one of the cases that, again, we're just trying to shed more light on.
Okay. By the way, you are a crime is a real thing for you, and you've written at least one book on crime in Boston. Talk about those books before we
Yeah,
get
yeah.
back to cold case.
Yeah, so I've written a couple books about organized crime. I got another one coming out on the way. So one of them is called Boston Organized Crime. Another one is called Gangland Boston. And both of those are they look at the history of organized crime in the greater Boston area. And like I said, I have another organized crime book coming out, if all goes according to plan, later this year. So.
So you have how many books out now? Three
So
overall.
three and a fourth on the way.
Wow. All right, back to cold case files. Can you talk about some other files that you have looked at, or you intend to look at, or you're looking at?
Yeah. So another one of the cases that we did was about Masi Martini, and she was a woman who was murdered in her. Well, she was found strangled to death in her home in Walpole in 1996. But when police and the medical examiner representative showed up at her doorstep, her boyfriend at the time called 911. They showed up, and there were like pills scattered all over the floor, and it was assumed that she had overdosed. And so it wasn't until an autopsy was performed that they found out she was strangled, and they counted up all the pills on the floor, and everything that in her prescription was accounted for. She hadn't taken anything
Right.
extra. So they had a murder investigation start very late in the game.
Yeah.
That case, that's one of the ones we've highlighted, but I'm happy to report that since it came out, somebody has contacted the tip line that appeared in our story and talked to some investigators.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So again, just revealing new information. And the thing is, with these cases, it could be like sometimes the smallest thing can lead investigators to re-interview people. You know what I mean? It could maybe lead to a break in the case. So we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? But again, that's why I'm really, really just trying to get the word out, because just in the past couple months, seeing that happen. You know what I mean?
Right. Is there a number or something I can post right now to tell people if they know anything about any crimes that haven't been solved to call you?
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I mean, I can send you the link for the newsletter. The thing is, with these cases, at the end of every story we do, we put exactly who to contact and if
Okay,
you want to submit anonymous information, but it varies by story.
I see.
So, you know what I mean? Depending on which agency is investigating.
How many cold cases are there?
Oh, wow. Well, that's a really good question. When I first, got assigned to do this series, I reached out to all the district, different district attorneys' offices and asked for like a list, you know, and, it really varies by county. But I mean, I came back with like a huge list. I haven't counted them all, but I got to say, since we started the series, I've been hit up by so many readers suggesting cases that I'd never really heard of. Um, so it's honestly scary how many are. You know what I mean? Cases are unsolved.
How,
And makes you wonder how many, killers are just walking around free.
with so many cold cases out there, how do you choose which ones to address?
Well, again, I've it's kind of right now I have the problem of like having too many cases I want to write about. What I've tried to do is focus on cases that, where the public could really help. For instance, the story that got posted this morning, our most recent one, was about this woman named Michelle Ivikel. Okay, she was an Iraq war veteran, served in Kuwait, came back home, and again, she had a successful military career, came back, and she disappeared kind of without a trace just a few years ago. She was last seen in Somerville visiting her father's house, and she had been seen traveling with a man who was deaf and his daughter who was also deaf, and the three of them were like, communicating through sign language. But there really hasn't been any leads or sightings of her since. And again, here's like a Iraq war veteran, and in her mid 40s, just disappears without a trace. So that was one that I was really again happy we could spread the word, because when she disappeared, we I don't even think I looked up in the Globe Archives, see if we had written about it before. The only thing that popped up was her being on the honor roll in Brighton High School in the 90s. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we hadn't even reported on her disappearance.
If
So
somebody has a case they want to tell you about, can they call the Globe or they call you, or what should they do?
yeah, for sure. You
What's
can
the
always reach me by email. It's emily.sweeney@globe.com. And if you Google I have a staff page on the Globe website, and it's got my phone number and ways to reach me on social media too. But email is always good.
email? Emily.Sweeney at?
Globe.com.
Okay, let me pop that up there. Hope we got it right. Emily's. And see if I got it right. Anybody got a case you want?
Yeah,
Emily.Sweeney at globe.com. Okay.
perfect.
All right, man. Is the Boston Strangler still a cold case?
I guess it depends on who you ask, but
All right.
that's one I haven't written about in a bit. But it's interesting how, all these years later, how some people, still think, yeah, there's a lot of unanswered questions, I think,
Okay.
with that case.
And I mean, when do the police kind of give up? When do the detectives kind of give up and it becomes cold? How long does it get worked on? And what are the factors that go into deciding how long it's a hot case?
Yeah, so I mean, again, if you ask any detective or anybody, they'll always say the investigation never just stops. It's not like we're closing this case, you know what I mean? I think a lot of it has to do with just lack of resources. You know what I mean? It depends on how many other crimes are happening and what their caseload is. Sometimes leads run cold. Other times law enforcement will have a feeling let's say they kind of know who did it and that other person's dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it was a string of cases where like, somebody killed somebody, then, you know what I mean? It was like tit for tat, and like, in a way, like the leads run cold because like people had passed away. But that being said, there's a lot of other cases where that's not the case, and it's really unclear. Like in the case of Michel Ivikel, the Iraq War veteran, police just really didn't get many leads, for at least from what I've gleaned, talking with one of the detectives who's worked on the case. So yeah, it really all depends, but I think it's like a lack of resources, dictates what gets invaded.
Right. As a matter of, and now police forces are struggling to be fully staffed. I know one police force that is down about 25% of
Oh wow, yeah.
It's difficult. They can't hire police now. Not so many people want to be police in this environment, so that's going to be another thing that sends cases to the cold case file. Okay, how often does it come out?
Yeah, so when we started out, we weren't really sure. I wanted to have it be weekly, and honestly, I still would like that, but but we're doing it monthly now. And again, there's a cold case newsletter where I also include any updates if there has been on previous cases we've covered. But yeah, so it's about once a month, and again, right now I'm like really just trying to get the word out, especially about the newsletter and letting folks know, because the series is pretty new. We just launched, and the Globe does a ton of amazing things. So this is just another one.
How do people get the newsletter?
They can sign up. There's a link I can. Let's see. I'm trying to. I think it's like. Oh, I wish I had it in front of me, but I can send it to you, Bradley. I can. Or
Sure.
put this in the comments
So
section.
the link is at the end of in the article, probably, right?
Yes, at the end of every article too. There's like a little box where you can sign up. So if you find any cold case story that I've done, you'll see the little box to sign up.
So there's one in the paper today.
Yes. Yep.
So you could, if you wanted to get the newsletter, and I do want to get it, you could go to the Globe right now, find your story, and the link is there.
Yep. Right. If you scroll down, it'll be like right near the end. Yep.
What section is this in the paper?
So it appears like in the Metro section, and then we also have a landing page for the cold case files where we list all the stories that I've written about so far. And yeah. So
if you want, each time, it's once a month. Each time you have a new case you write about, you can come on and talk about it if you want. If we're both around.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. I know you're at the Globe right now. You're working.
I am.
You're on your lunch break or something, so we got to let you get out of here and get back to your job. How cool it is that you still work for the Globe after all this time. You're practically a senior reporter now, right?
I know. Yeah. You could call me veteran, experienced. You know what I mean? I think.
That's pretty. How old were you when you got the gig?
Oh man, I don't know. It was 2001 though. That's when I joined the staff of the Globe.
So that's 22 years, something like that. 23 years.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I know, right?
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you very much for keeping us updated, and I'm certainly going to share this because it's very, very interesting. Cold case files from Boston Globe reporter Emily Sweeney. She's excellent. She's always on the ball and ready to go, up early in the morning and working hard all day. Thank you very much, Emily.
All right. Thanks, Bradley. I appreciate it.
Where's my mouse? My mouse has disappeared. I don't think I can shut this off. Seriously, what do I do if my mouse dies and I cannot shut it off? That is such a crazy thing. You don't say anything bad. I mean, I might have to go get batteries. I might have to go get batteries from my my mouse here, but it should be working. Never had this kind of breakdown. What do we have to do? Just unplug the computer?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was.
Oh, here we go. Jeez, that was bad What a weird thing. I'm going to end this now. Bye, everybody. I never thought of that. End stream. Don't say anything.